All right, we have Adam, who you saw earlier, David Bateson, our voice of Agent 47, Mads Mikkelsen, everybody. Woo! Hakan. Oh, yeah, we have Christian and Ula. So we have everyone, the whole team here today. See, told you wanted to stick around. Look at you guys. Everyone's so handsome. Okay. So we're going to have a couple questions that I'm going to give our panelists, and then we're going to take some questions from the audience. But I think what would be really special is starting off with, you know what, a little story, because Mads, David, you guys have known each other from before Hitman. And I know there's a little anecdote that can be told here that's quite special.
Yeah, it's this is a real premiere. Mass and I worked on a small film together back in 98, 99. You was
94.
Oh my God.
You're that old, David.
Who am I again? Anyway, you were at drama school,
Yep.
which is so scary. We did this little movie. It was a love triangle. He was having an affair with my wife. Yeah. And the short story is this. I go away hunting. It's set in 1895, a long time ago, right? I go away off hunting. He turns up to seduce my wife. She's putting sheets out on the line, and he starts sneaking up and fumbling around with my wife. And anyway, he did something. I'm watching this scene. He's about 25, 30 feet away from me. I'm standing next to the director. We got a monitor in front of us, and I'm watching it live. He goes and leans against this pole as she's putting these sheets on the washing line, and he's like, waiting for you. I'll wait. And then he does something which totally rocked my boat. He starts spitting because he's such a romantic guy. No, he's looking at her. His arms are folded, and he's leaning back, and he just goes, and he does this a couple of times. So I lean across to the director, and I'm going, wait a minute, that's not very sexy. And I'm looking at him doing it live, and then I looked at the monitor, and something was insane. It was brilliant. It was sexy and raw and just, I'll let you finish, and then you're mine. The point is, I leaned across to the director during the take, and I whispered to him, Sarah, go, what did I say? Yeah, I've got to get this right because that's right. Oh, yes, right. I said to him, does Mass know what he's doing? And the director leaned over to me and said, I don't think so, but don't tell him. Because it was insanely good.
It worked on your wife, though.
No, I'm rather pleased about that because she's here tonight. No, but that was maybe a sign of what was to come. And I've waited 100 years to tell you this story of the talent I saw that day. And he was still studying at drama school. So, yeah, give it up for Mass.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I didn't know. I walked into the room today, and the guys were pitching me the game, and I was watching it, and all of a sudden the Hitman comes in, and I'm like, wait a second, is that David? So it was my very first thing I ever did.
Yeah.
And I got to shag his wife and kill him.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see what happens in this game.
Yeah. We'll call it 50-50. We'll call it a draw. Yeah, you killed me, asshole.
It's so rare that, you've been able to work together for so long on different projects. It's actually an incredible story, and I'm happy that you were able to share that with us today, because when else would you have been able to tell that story otherwise? Yeah.
Thanks.
But I had no idea that you were Hitman.
No, but you killed me first.
And maybe second.
Yeah.
All right, so Mads, what was it like to reprise your iconic role as Le Chiffre for this Hitman mission, and how is it different than the movie?
It's different in the way that I'm not in a studio, I'm not in a set, I'm not wearing a costume. So obviously, this is an imaginary world. I think I was doing the recording in Spain, and you guys were sitting in Denmark. And I knew the game because my son has been playing it forever. And how I fit in, I didn't know at that point, but I got a lot of notes about it. And then you guys was pitching every scene. And eventually I realized, why don't we just do every line in 5 different versions? And then you guys can play around with it. And that's kind of how I approached it because I mean, it's there's so many different opportunities in every scenario. So to tell me how that worked half an hour for every scenario would be me standing there for 2 months. So we just dived in there. I don't know how you guys are doing it, but I mean, you might have a little more visual to work with.
No, I have nothing.
Okay, here you go.
I'm kind of all alone.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. So it's a different approach, obviously. I mean, it was great to come back to him. I was always when I did the original, I loved the film, but I was always super angry when I read the script that, I mean, a Bond film, I'm an ex-gymnast, I'm really good at stunts, and the most crazy stunt I did in the film was folding 2 aces. It was like, oh God. It's like, so I'm so pleased that this character has actually got his hands on a little more.
Yeah. Listen, I think what's cool about this is, unlike the film, obviously, you get as a player to approach you, the target, in so many different ways. And I find that infinitely interesting to use your imagination that way. Although I liked what you did to me to James Bond in the movie. So that's another story.
Well, he deserved it. He took my money.
Yeah. Asshole.
All right, so David, you've been the voice of Agent 47 for many, many years now.
Many.
How do you keep the character fresh and engaging for both yourself and the fans?
How do
you keep the character fresh?
Oh, well, listen, in a way, it's kind of easy. I don't know if you have this thing, but one, I treat Agent 47 as my best friend, as I mentioned earlier. So I kind of thinking, I'm going to have a good time hanging out with my best friend. We'll work it out. But here's the other thing. I know he's this emotionless character without feelings and without moral. He's a killing machine. But I treat him sort of like a Frankenstein's monster, in a way, that he's somewhere deep, deep down inside. He's looking for some kind of humanity. And though the dialogue is written very ice cold, and it should be delivered that way, I try to sneak in some kind of curiosity about how it might feel and to kill, or to what's this person going through. And secondly, I think of his backstory about wanting to know where he comes from. So it's a primitive thing, but I just keep having that in my head.
That's really cool. And Mads, you already talked about the difference between voice acting, being in the booth, and then being on set. Did you enjoy the experience?
Yeah, it was super fun. Both of the things were fun. It was obviously fun to revisit him for a number of reasons. Also to just see that even though he looks young in the game, his voice is kind of more rusty now. It's apparently my mistake. No, it was super fun. I mean, you rarely get the chance to revisit a character in the movie business. You might do it on theater, but in the movie business, it's over, it's done. And then, what is it? Is it 18 years? Yeah. 18 years ago, I did that character. And then he looked good, and I was happy to see him again.
Oh, you still look good. All right, so you face off Agent 47. Who is the world's best assassin?
Ooh.
In another high-stake poker game, how would Le Chiffre go about destabilizing such a fearsome opponent?
Well, obviously, Le Chiffre normally has henchmen and people to do the dirty work. So in terms of assassin, it's obviously Hitman. But if you face him in his environment, I think it's going to be a little uphill battle for Hitman.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you mentioned earlier to me that it's not just about me trying to kill you by winning at poker. There's a lot more going on. And I think, I don't know, when James Bond stands there, you're kind of going, yeah, it's going to end well. But I think it feels more even. The playground, the playing field feels much more even, which is cool.
Yeah, and if you were playing Hitman yourself, Mads.
If I'm playing
Yeah,
Lucifer,
if you were playing the game yourself.
or if I was playing Hitman trying to kill myself,
Yeah. Would you go in head on, or would you be stealthy about it?
I really can't answer that. But I know who's going to really enjoy killing me, my son. I mean, there's like a ton of ways to get past my character, and I can't wait to see his face going like, I have to do this again. So that's going to be fun. I mean, yeah, I mean, you're obviously playing Hitman, and it's a strange suicidal process for me to imagine that. Well, I'll download it. I'll play it. We'll see where it goes.
So if you had to give Agent 47 one piece of advice for his mission against you, what would it be?
Yeah, give Agent 47 an advice.
Oh,
Why would I? Yeah, I think it would be a smart choice to beat me at poker. That would be the easiest way for him. And if he can't do that, it's an uphill battle.
yeah. I think you're right. It's not going to be easy killing this guy. I would just say this. I never thought of that before. Your son's going to be out there killing you. Well, I have news.
Probably
for you.
playing right now.
Oh, no. Well, listen, I walked in on my daughter when she was playing Absolution some years ago, and she turned around and said, Dad, it's so cool hearing your voice in my ears as I strangle this nun. And I thought, can we just keep that inside the room, please? Yeah, so good luck.
That's incredible. So, Christian, what core themes or tone did you want to capture in the Bond story that sets it apart from previous interpretations of the film or the games?
Well, first of all, we're changing subject here.
Oh, yeah,
But
getting serious.
Absolutely, I just want to say it's absolutely a blessing to just see the two of you together, and like for us to dream about it, Hakan and I, as you can probably imagine, it's been a really, really special mission for us, and it's been really enjoyable. Regarding a Bond, I think what we really wanted to find at the core was a young version. We kind of talked about the difference between who's 007 and who's James Bond as a concept. Trying to find out, like, how does he become the number? How does he, as we also talk about, the game is about earning the number, but it comes at a price. So we needed to figure out who is he in his his raw form, and what does being an agent actually do to him. And I think that's what we're really interested and curious about in the game as well.
That's really cool. So, can you tease any unique mechanics or innovations that set this game apart from any other stealth or action titles?
Well, I think we're combining some really interesting elements. Like, we're well known from Hitman games with a lot of freedom of approach, and obviously Bond is a little bit different, but he has a really big layer of improvisation, and just he happens to get in trouble, but he also happens to have a lot of different solutions. So we wanted to capture that. But I think the biggest leap for us was to make this seamless interplay between physical melee action and really good shooting combat. So it feels like you have a lot of options, whether you're in an action part of the game, or whether you're more like using your skills as a spy.
To be honest, I can't imagine another duo of games that fit more perfectly together, that share the same mechanics and everything. Yeah. So let's switch it a little bit. Adam, Mind's Eye looks like it blends narrative depth with action. What's the core experience you want players to walk away with?
Yeah, I mean, we've really strived to make a very immersive and cinematic story. I think the kind of key experience one players have is kind of feel like they're playing through their favorite action movie, but they get to be the protagonist. They get to be in control of the action, and they get to go between these wonderful action set pieces. They get to immerse themselves and kind of meet interesting characters, and then just like high action, tension, and drama and spectacle. And we're really excited to get players in Red Rock on Tuesday.
That's exactly Tuesday. That's wild. And what would you say sets Mind's Eye apart from other narrative-led games in terms of like gameplay or structure?
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's a kind of a few unique things I'd say. I mean, in particular, we're trying to strike this balance between having a very well-paced story, but then also giving players lots of opportunities, have like kind of excursions and adventures. And I think Play Mind's Eye is a really elegant way to do that. As you're playing the story, you encounter these portals, and they give you a glimpse into into characters' backstories. Sometimes they're just slice of fun gameplay. But if you don't want to kind of like break your immersion, or kind of like you just want to press through the story, they're waiting for you in the Play Mind's Eye menu, and that's a place we're going to be populating with lots of great content. Every few weeks there'll be new stuff in there, new bits of gameplay, and I think it's going to be really exciting for players.
Yeah, and Hakan, the man himself, with Hitman World of Assassination now seen as a modern classic in stealth gaming. How do you view the franchise's role in defining IOI as a studio today?
Well, Hitman has been, without a doubt, our flagship franchise. It all started with Hitman in a cellar, and 25 years later, here we are. And I would say many good games we've done throughout the years. But Hitman World of Assassination is kind of the culmination of long time coming of a franchise that really found itself, found its platform, and it's something we started 13 years ago, 14 years ago, envisioning and working on it, and then starting it like from one episode to one game to 3 games, all melded into one universe. And it's been a long road, but like as you saw today with the co-op edition, which we are extremely excited about, it's something that when we say it never sleeps, it never ends, we mean it.
That's beautiful. So with everything that has been said and everyone that's on this panel right now, thank you so much for today. I want to open it up to the room for any questions. I'm like, how do we do this? Oh, you have a mic. Okay, so
Hands up and
yeah, hands up if you have a question. We got one right here in the middle. In the middle. Oh.
we got a mic.
I guess
Mic is
not.
moving.
Okay, we're gonna start on the edge, I guess.
Oh. Hi. So one of my questions is specifically for talking about the new Bond game. Bond has had different types of pacing depending on the era of film that he's in. So I wanted to know for First Light, are you all looking more towards a specific Bond? Are you moving faster or slower? And how are you all kind of drawing your inspirations from the different film eras of the character?
Want to take that, Hakan, or should I?
I can take it. Well, I think we've been asking ourselves that question: what is actually the inspiration for our Bond? But I think from the get-go, we tried to kind of leave that out. There's so many good legacy from 60 years of this franchise, but we really the whole spirit and core of First Light is to create something original, something that stands on its own, something that we can call our Bond for the gamers. And so I think it's difficult to say he's more like Roger Moore or more like Sean Connery and whatnot. I think he is his own young man, and I think where he differs the most is he's not like on top of his game with very comfortable in tuxedos and with the martinis yet. This is actually something he will learn along the way, right? So it's a young man, very hopeful, very optimistic, that's gonna grow through this experience. So I like to say that hopefully you'll feel that as well when you get the game in your hands, that we created something unique and on its own.
Hello? Hello, hi. All right. First of all, First Hitman I ever played was on Dreamcast. I'm aging myself here. You guys are amazing. Yes, the Sega Dreamcast. So thank you. And Mads, I just got done playing Death Stranding. You are amazing. It is awesome to see you in another game. So I had questions as far as your approach with this one versus the last one that you did. Was it any different, or did it just feel like you just jumped right back into it?
They belong in the same worlds in the sense that I don't have a setting. There's no sets. But the other one was more physical. That we were dressed up in green tights and had dots on our faces and a camera up here. And luckily, I wasn't the only one. So and here it was a pitch a couple of months before I did it, and we talked back and forth about it. And then I went into the studio and I did the voice for it. So there was a difference for sure. Both had one thing in common: I had no idea what was going on. I had a hunch, but so what I saw today was just mind-blowing fun because I in a film I will be in the midst of it. Here I'm on the outskirts of it, and then I see the product later. So I'm like you guys. I'm like crossing my fingers. Yeah.
Thank you all for your time this evening. Very much appreciated. I want to get to the topic earlier about how Bond and Hitman share a lot of connective tissue, a lot of similarities. While that is an advantage, it also creates a bit of a pitfall. You don't want to make a Bond game that resembles Hitman a little too much. So what is the team doing to kind of avoid that and make sure that the two can stand by themselves as two now new pillars for IO?
So I think you're absolutely spot on. The journey we went on to even imagine building a Bond game was a journey of trying to figure out where is it not Hitman and where can we lean in on the strengths we do have. And also to Mass's point, just talking about the experience of actually being in a Hitman game. Hitman is a lot about like almost absolute freedom of choice. I know that's probably stretching it a little bit too far, but we really want you to be able to like imagine all sorts of scenarios as a player, and you can then do them on your own terms, which makes it extremely hard for actors to actually know, wait, what's going on? Like and as the guys talked about, you have to record a lot of different reactions. Writers typically have to accept that what they write might not ever see daylight. People might not see it. They can miss it. I think Bond is like natively different there because obviously we're telling a story. We're telling a story about a young hero, and obviously Agent 47 is an anti-hero, and we are driven by the story. We're driven by the plot, and that sets a certain type of pacing for the game. And so if we leaned 100% into Hitman, that pacing and that drama would kind of not really be there because, well, I mean, most of you who've played Hitman know it stands still sometimes, right? You're just there in the middle of a level. You can just stand there and take it in and nothing happens. And that wouldn't really be great if we were doing James Bond. So I think you need to imagine that, yeah, we learned a lot about freedom of approach. We learned a lot about being creative with Hitman, and we want to inject as much of that as possible into a Bond universe and into a Bond story, but it's not the same thing.
Okay, we're going to take one more question because we want to give everyone time to go play the demos out in the lobby, okay?
Hello. Can you all hear me? Okay, there you go. Quick question about the characterization of some of the kind of iconic characters in the 007 franchise. We see a new take on not only Bond, but a new take on all of those characters as well. Can you talk a little bit about how important it was to kind of change that up as well for the team and give a new, fresh take on some of the iconic characters that we've seen in that series?
Okay, yeah, I'll happy to answer that. So obviously, like as you can imagine, there is a vast legacy with those characters, and there are so many interactions that people expect and they want to see in the game, and so we're obviously very mindful of that. And obviously, in the future, like not for now, we'll dig into how that unfolds. I'm sure you saw in the graphic behind Hakan when he was talking about Bond, we introduced a new character to the mix between Moneypenny, M and Q, and so we're obviously super excited to talk a little bit about that as we move forward. But for now, you know, we'll save some of that ammo.
I'd like to remind everyone that we're going to continue to do interviews in the lounge and I think in here as well, but we are going to conclude that for the night. Thank you guys so much. And thank you for everyone who's watching to celebrate this with us. They deserve it all. Thank you so much. Oh, and it's free to play.